We're on. Hi, everyone. Welcome to You Make the Call. Remember us? I'm Dick Jarvis, and you remember Barry Sinewitz, don't you?
Yeah.
There he is. We haven't been here for about a month, so we apologize for that. A lot of things have been happening in everybody's life here anyway the last month or so. So hopefully if things calm down, we'll be back to our regular schedule. But some things can't be helped. What are you going to do?
Sometimes life takes over.
Yep. But anyway, before we start some of the topics that we're going to talk about tonight, it's interesting, Barry. People watch us, and they know our names and they know the show and all that kind of stuff. But they watch sometimes with a very different eye, okay? Or it's not a jaundiced eye, but a little different perspective on how they view us, and so. And I didn't realize that until recently. I ran into a couple of loyal viewers of our show, South Peabody residents, and they happened to tell me that one of the fun things about watching the show is that they and some of their friends, they'll count the number of times I touch my glasses, I touch my face, or I pull down my shirt. And they watch you, your roving eyes to see which camera you're on, and the stroking of your tie. And I didn't know that they did all that stuff. But so they were telling me that the high watermark for me touching my glasses was around 9 or 10 times, and I said, really? Are you kidding me? And so I wanted to bring that up because I appreciate the comments, and I don't really watch myself. I don't do any watch any reruns or anything like that. I just don't do it. And so I don't know I do all those things. But they're legitimate reasons I touch my glasses, because my glasses slide down and I have to put them back up, So, but anyway, but thanks for the feedback and appreciate it. And we'll try to correct our little idiosyncrasies as we go along tonight and whatnot. So Barry's already
I'm not touching my tie. I'm going to try not to.
He already feels like a robot, like he's going to sit there like this. But anyway, I want to say thank you to the viewers, to those 2 viewers that said that, made that comment and feedback, so we appreciate it. But we'll try to do better in the future, okay?
The good part of that, Dick, is people are starting to really watch the show. We're picking up quite a following, so
right.
I'm proud of that. And I think that robocall helped really getting the word out, because Channel 99 isn't an easy channel to find. Mm-hmm. So it's been great. The people, when I see people, you're the guy on that show. So it's fun. It's actually a lot of fun.
No, I think you're right. Well, it's always been the case. I think more people watch it than call in, and I think people still get a little nervous about calling in. I never understood why, but they do. They don't want anybody to know who's calling. And by the way, folks, you're going to see me do this a lot, because I'm wearing a scapular and it keeps riding up on so it hits me in the throat here and I have to push it back down, so I apologize.
We'll switch the camera when that happens.
Okay, so let's, we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. And one of the things, I think what we want to start off with is a continuing saga of the former Peabody Hospital, the J.B. Thomas Hospital site up there, only because we want to upgrade people on what's going on, and so that you'll have a familiar idea, you'll be familiar with the status of the project. So anyway, last time we talked, we brought up, and I don't want to go into old history or past history, but we basically said that, look, there's lack of communication between the city officials, the ward councilor too, and the people of Ward 4, especially in that area, that those neighbors next to that project, that project that's going to be going in there. And they had really grave concerns that they weren't being upgraded and they weren't being involved in the discussions that were taking place between city officials and the contractor, the project director. And So anyway, they felt left out of the loop, and they complained about that, and we mentioned that on our show. Well, lo and behold, they had a meeting recently, and they say there's about 150 people that went, well over 100 anyway. So I think that's a really strong indication that neighborhood is concerned about that project. And the feedback coming out of that meeting, the result of that meeting was the neighbors are do not want to see a zoning change.
Correct.
They don't want to see the zoning changed from, now all the terminology. It's what, R2 to R4?
So let's just take a step back first.
Go ahead.
You are correct, there was a meeting, but originally there was, before that neighborhood meeting, a special neighborhood meeting, there was supposed to be discussed on the city council about changing it from R2 to two-family to an R4 to allow this development to be built. And it really wasn't advertised well, or something happened, and none of the neighbors knew about it. And I think Councilor Manning put something on Facebook, and then she put it onto Moving Peabody Forward Facebook site, and then everybody found out. And then that night, the mayor realized that there was a mistake, and he rescheduled the meeting. And that's where that neighborhood meeting actually took place. So the overwhelming feel of that meeting was the neighbors were against changing it from R2 to R4 so they can build 130 units. And the ward council seems to be pushing for the R4 against the wishes of the neighbors. So I guess the neighbors are saying is, it's R2, build an R2, whatever you can build. The only way you can build 130 units is to switch it over to R4, so they can obviously make a big profit on that. And so that's kind of where they're at, and they're going back and forth, but I just don't understand. There's no communication between it's almost like they're at odds. That Councilor Jarvis wants R4, the neighbors want keep it as R2 and keep it. And then the threat comes up, oh, they're going to build a 40B. There hasn't been one 40B built in my time on the council in 10 years, and I've been off and then another couple of years. So it's always a threat.
I was going to ask you that. Now, the downside of to the developer on an R2 would be what?
Well,
the number of units?
He's going to build less. He only can build up two-family units, single-family. I don't know if there's something else. There might be a little cluster development allowed in that. I'm not really sure. I'd have to double-check the zoning. But why go against what the people want? And there was also a comment made that they could put a marijuana clinic. I go, it's 3/10 of a mile to the center school. They're not putting a marijuana. That's just kind of,
scare tactics.
Yeah, making people nervous.
Right.
But the thing is this: this is a big company. This is a Chinese-owned company. Anybody that buys a piece of property to build, and you need a special permit or a zoning change, there's a contingency in there. So if you don't get the zone, you don't buy it and then get denied. So you buy it with a contingency, and if you don't get the zoning change or the special permit, you don't get it, you go, here, take your land back, give me my deposit, and I walk. So they're not just buying the land. I wouldn't think they would just buy the land, and if they don't get it, they're stuck with it. So if it doesn't fit, let them withdraw, put it out to bid, have community development, the business liaison, work to bring in somebody to bring a responsible development for the area.
Okay. I know we talked about this before, last couple of programs, we mentioned it, but we're just trying to update you on what the latest is on it. And so obviously the miscommunication, lack of communication, or whatever you want to call it, that had been going on, it's moving in the right direction. It seems as though that the citizens up in that neck of the woods, the neighbors up there, have driven the point home to the city that we want to be more involved, and we don't want the zoning change. We're not in favor of the zoning change from R2 to R4. So that's the latest on that. Anybody wants to call on that, update us, correct us if you will, whatever. 978-977-0570. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you.
Dick, the other thing on that development is they're pushing or saying they want it over 55. So in a perfect world, that sounds great. There'll
Yeah.
be no kids and that type of thing. But that's not really how it works. In most of those developments, only one person has to be over 55. So if I was living there with my wife and my daughter was married with 2 kids and she got divorced and come live with us, now you have an over 55 with 2 children in it. So I don't know if it's even legal to put in the deed saying you can't have any children in there. So I think that's a little disingenuous to say there won't be any children, living there in those 130 units, because that was kind of one of the things. There wouldn't be any children going into the schools, wouldn't have an impact on an overcrowded center school.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's any question that that's not legal. You can't dictate to a contractor or a developer can't dictate who can,
Yeah,
what
so
the circumstances
I don't know if
of
it's in
people's
the
lives
deed
are.
or whatever it is, but it's just
Over 55 is one thing, but you can't have kids, you can't have, all this kind of stuff.
we certainly want that dilapidated old property torn down, taken away, and something that fits properly into that neighborhood. And
Right.
plus, when you I don't rehash it, but when you go to R4, it allows restaurants, convenience store, and that's not the location.
Right.
And you can't get a guarantee they'll never do that.
It's very, very, very.
So hopefully they'll work it out.
It's very, very, dense up there. Is everybody familiar with King Street and the corner of King Street and Lowell, and I mean they know the situation up there. Ellsworth Road, and you got a school not too far from the development there, and it's just it's a very heavily traveled area. 136 or 38 units. Additional units is not going to help that situation.
And this is
at all.
in the hands of the city council now.
Right.
City council is the one that's going to grant the zoning change or not. So I hope the neighbors are reaching out to the city councilors to plead their case.
And I think those neighbors have worked hard to let the city officials know how they feel about the project. But I think keep the push on, because it isn't over yet. If what Barry says is true, I don't know if it is or it isn't, but if the suggestion is that the Ward 4 Council is in favor of the zoning changing it to R4, and that seems to go against the people up there who are against this project. So there's a problem there, and so make sure you're driving that point home, folks. If you don't want the R4. Make sure that the mayor knows, your ward council knows, city council knows, because that's where your fate is going to, end up in their hands. So, anyway, anybody want to talk about that or anything else? 978-977-0570. Would love to hear from you. Okay, so moving on from that. I just wanted to bring something up about, someone mentioned to me in a kind of a sarcastic way about the school budget deficit of $1.16 million in this school year's budget, it's a deficit. And so, and I understand when you see a headline and you don't read the story, you misinterpret, you just say, oh, another mismanagement or something like that about government mismanaging our money again and all that. And I want to mention it because I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think we should be hanging the school department, the school administration out to dry on this, because reading the excerpts of the article about why the budget was why the money why the budget is over by 1.16 is because of things not in their control. Let's put it that way. Just so our viewers out there understand what happened and why the budget is over budget. It's because the transportation costs for, let's just say, students who are either homeless, in foster care, special needs
students.
The transportation costs for those groups of students, and students going, being sent, transported out of city for to city facilities at schools that are not in our city, out of district they call it, is the main reason for the budget going over by $1.16 million. And it's hard to control that because you don't know from year to year. It's guesswork when you're doing the budget. How many of these students, or each of those classifications that I just mentioned, are going to be in the system the following year? It's hard. And to be honest with you, the cost of transportation skyrocketed to about between 5 and 7%, I guess. And you just don't know how many kids are going to come back into the system. That maybe maybe they're not going to go out of district this year. Maybe they are. It's hard to say. We don't know how many of the population of homeless and foster children are going to be in the system again. So it's really hard to control that cost. So a supplementary budget was passed by the school committee a couple of weeks ago to make up for that budget deficit. But I wanted to explain it, take a few minutes to explain, because you know me, I don't like the taxes going up, and I don't like over budget. I don't like overspending our money. You know that. I'm the king of being against all of that. But I really sincerely think that this is not a mismanagement issue.
Yeah. I was away for about 10 days, so I didn't see the article. I didn't hear about it. But a lot of that's mandated by the state that they have to pick up the cost.
Some of it is, that's right.
If they're sending special ed kids somewhere or whatever, they have to pay for it. So
and they jumped up the portion that the city is spending on that now.
I'm not knowledgeable about I didn't see the article, but and it just the school budget just keeps spiraling. And now we're talking, a new high school. We have a vocational school over there, and now I'm reading articles, and we discussed this about a month ago about the Voc, where the Essex Tech, where now we read an article where 1,400 apply and 400 get in. That's a private school to me. It really is. And now we're looking at a high school. We're going to have to build a Voc edition for all those kids from Peabody that can't get in. And the whole purpose of that Voc was to eliminate our vocational school and save money.
True.
And now we're going to end up, if we do build a high school, have to do something for all the kids that aren't getting in. It's just, I don't know what the answer is.
Well, we're probably going to do another follow-up program on that too, to remind people of.
These are hard issues.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, and you have to take them head on. You can't look at it like it doesn't exist and it doesn't. The Voc budget is going to be a problem over there. We're already at $4 million and it's rising. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at what point do we say, I don't even know if we can get out? I brought all these points up and everybody just poo-pooed me and you don't know what you're talking about. But and I knew at one point, so those school committee members can't ignore it. And if you got your tax bill, you know what I'm talking about. And if we build, look at a high school, it would be probably, we do need a new high school, but if we don't have to put on an extra $30 million addition or whatever for an extra vocational school at the high school, to drive up the cost of it. So they really need to look at these issues and not just say, we don't have a say over there, just let it go.
Well, we talked about, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, we talked about the pros and cons of getting involved with being a participant as a city in the Voc school situation, and did we want to be in it or not? I strongly advised our people our officials here in the city of Peabody that they shouldn't do that, based on past practice and with other systems that did that. They lost control. The money is a pass-through. We went all through all of this stuff, but it's just not. Peabody is just like Wenham or Essex. I mean, they'll treat us just like that, even though we're the biggest provider of money and everything else. We don't have any more of a vote than those folks do. You lose control of the curriculum. You lose control of the money, the management. It's the host city's Danvers. Danvers gets the money. It's a pass-through, and there's so much managerial functionality lost. It's crazy. And for the money we're putting into that, I never thought it was a good idea. And we're learning right now that,
And Beverly Dunn at the time voted against us going into the vocational. So she knew the financial impact, and we thank her for
Mayor
doing it.
Betancourt voted against it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was only 3 of us.
So the thing is that, you can't blame him. But the thing is that it's from a business point of view, anybody that's got any business experience from a business point of view, not a good thing. Not a good thing.
You always want to control your own destiny.
Well,
and you have somebody controlling what you do, how much your budget is. It's like you don't have a control over your tax bill.
Thank you very much, co-host, because maybe someday our elected officials will understand the mentality of citizens. If it's our money, we want to make sure we have a say in how it's being spent. Okay? Sometimes you don't think they understand that. They get mad at us for being, anti-government, or they get mad at us because we don't agree with them on what they're doing. Well, something, sit up and pay attention, but thank you very much for bringing that up. That's a good thing.
But the bottom line is, when I was on the council, I looked at city money like I'm spending my own money, okay?
So well, you should.
And when the golf course loses almost $100,000, that's okay. Maybe we'll make it up. But how would you like it if I was your financial planner and you gave me $100,000 at the end of the year? I said I have $10,000 left. You're a nice guy. Don't worry about it, Dick. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Barry. It's only money.
Yeah.
Right. So spend it like it's your own, and you'll spend your money a little differently. So
Very
that's all I
wise,
can
sage
say.
man, my partner here. Okay. And before we move on to the next, I just want to let you know, my friends in South Peabody have already touched my glasses 4 times, and he hasn't stroked his
I haven't
tie
touched
once.
them.
Not once.
I have willpower.
I am watching this whole thing. So anyway, all right. So that was this thing on the school budget. Another interesting. we mentioned it this on the show again was the Peabody car wash up at the North Shore entrance on Prospect Street into the North Shore. That did not get, the permit was not issued for that particular project. And it was very interesting. We brought it up on this program a couple of times because no one seemed to know what this strange-looking edifice was, this building that was going up there. No one seemed to know what it was. Then there was a trailer that was brought in, and so people. And I remember, I don't know if it was you or somebody else said to me, "That looks like a car wash," and I couldn't believe it. But anyway, that particular project was denied. That special permit was denied, and it killed by the city council because essentially the guy that owns the place did a lot of work on his own, spent a lot of money, okay, built, and actually built the structure and then connected utilities and all kinds of drains and whatnot, and he didn't get a permit to do any of that. So
That's
the
gist of it, right?
That's the nut.
So here's a guy that's supposedly a lawyer. He said in the article in the paper he was an attorney. So it says in our zoning, if you want to put a car wash in the BR zone, you need a special permit. If you know the zoning, then I'm watching the council meeting and the ward councilor says, you don't need a special permit. I'm like, what? Or it was approved by the council before. It was never approved by the council, so it needs a special permit. He put up the structure. Another thing, I know it didn't go anywhere, but there's 2 things. Number one, any car wash, you have to have extensive filtration systems for oil, grease, chemicals that go in. You can't let it go into the storm drain.
Of course.
So it's either a real car wash would have a recycling tank, and you recycle the water, or if it goes into the storm drain, you have to put a filtration system in to catch all the garbage in it. Secondly, it's across the street from housing, and they're going to be using vacuums, probably pressure washers. Like, why would the mall, who has a $300 million property, put a shack up in front of the entrance to
like
the
a
mall?
lean-to.
Is it all? And look, I get it. They're our biggest taxpayer, right? I get it. But just to make a few bucks, they put a shack. They're going to have porta potties out there because there's no bathrooms.
Yeah.
I have no clue what the thought process was. But the council, thank you to the council for voting it down. It should never. I don't even know how far it got that far, but it's just ridiculous. It's totally no disregard for our rules and our zoning, but I wish the councilor knew that it wasn't allowed. You need a special permit. That's crazy.
And one of the things too that it gets lost in the shuffle all the time when it comes to why things get refused or why things are approved or whatnot. But one of the things that should stand out and be at the head of the top of the list is what it does to the character of a neighborhood. Does it fit in? You know, you can't go into a neighborhood that's got no building more than two or three stories and put a 25-story building up. I mean, it's out of character with the neighborhood, and it's offensive to the existing neighborhood. And no city council worth their salt should ever do anything like that, approve something that's not within the character of a neighborhood. And that particular project there, that car wash, that hand wash facility, I'll call it, for lack of a better term, was certainly not in character with the surrounding area there. Not only houses across the street, but you got medical facility, a bank on one side, medical facility, a supermarket. I mean, it just was. And to hear the manager of the North Shore Mall say it was, he thought it would be, an asset to the mall. I said, what?
Stop.
Are you kidding?
Stop
I know. And I said, what? So anyway, that particular project did not get approval, and no special permit will be issued, and so it's dead anyway for the time being.
Thank the council again for doing that. They did the right thing.
Absolutely.
They did the right thing.
Now I'm gonna turn this next thing over to you because this is one of your favorites.
Which one?
The Betancourt building. It tells you the genius of getting into. This is about the genius to get into things you don't know anything about and try to make it work and make money on it. So the city gets into what they're doing now. Towns are getting into buying real estate and owning real estate, whether for either open spaces or they want to revamp something and all that, and they become landlords, okay? City can't even run the cities well, do their government work, our business well, and they're getting into real estate. And I think it's another huge mistake that cities and towns do. But Barry, on the Betancourt, what's the latest on the, let's do a rundown on some of the costs that.
So, I know we've discussed this many times, but so basically, we bought it from, the developer bought it from the bank, and then we took it by eminent domain, and we paid him $425,000. He came back and filed a lawsuit saying that, first of all, you evaluated the property, and then he filed a civil lawsuit against, I think, one counselor and possibly I think it might have been one. He filed a civil lawsuit against the city because they felt he violated his civil rights on what he wanted to build. So I guess, they went to court, and the city must have felt, we better settle. And they settled for $1.25 million. And I even think Councilor Manning and Councilor Gravel supported a motion from the $425 that we already gave him to give him an extra $300,000. And that was denied 9-2 on the council, and then they ended up settling for $1.25 million. Now it goes on the market for $750,000. So we lose $500,000? Like from what we pay. I don't know the thought process of why we put it on for $750. Is the property not worth it? To be perfectly honest with you, Dick, that property has a lot of problems, and the only way I believe that somebody can make a go of it is you're going to have to put in a whole slew of apartments because you need the revenue to make the numbers work.
See, the numbers that Barry just mentioned about losing $500,000, the city did with the property value. We have a phone call? Okay, the property value plus the
Well, 425
yeah. So, but we'll get into that afterwards. Let's take this call. Caller, you're on.
Am I on?
You are,
Yeah,
sir.
go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right.
Speak.
I want to make a comment about the proposed car wash.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It wasn't going to be, they weren't going to do any cannabis cleaning plants up there. They weren't going to rinse them off or anything like that, if that's what you're going to ask.
Well, I was thinking of calling Bob Kraft. If we get Bob Kraft to put some money into this thing, you probably get some girls in some scantily clad attire.
Well, we have his
Maybe,
private number if you want to call him.
Maybe get some massage parlor things in that little trailer there.
Okay. We can hook you up with him if you want to hang on the line. Our program director will give you Bob Kraft's private cell phone, and I'm sure
Call
he'll
it a happy endings car wash.
happy endings now. But what else is on your mind between besides Robert Kraft?
What's going on with the bags? No plastic bags in Peabody? What's with that?
What's that?
Plastic
Plastic bags?
I'm not familiar with that one.
I guess I'm missing.
I'm hearing.
Are you?
News. No
Are
more
you,
paper bags in
You
Peabody.
can't.
You wouldn't be at a place of where you imbibe alcoholic liquor, would you?
I never touch the stuff.
All right, I don't know about the plastic bags, and now that we told you the car wash wasn't going to be washing any cannabis plants, and we're going to give you Bob Kraft's number. What else could we could do you for tonight?
I don't know. What do you want to chat about? You want to chat about the J.B. Thomas?
You called us.
You called us.
Well, I mean, you guys have been on sabbatical for a month. I don't know what.
So now the truth comes out. All right, you got your zinger in there. What do you hear about J.B. Thomas? What do you hear?
I don't know. I'm trying to get Bob Croce back to take care of this issue.
Caller, we'll work on that.
With the young man.
We'll work on that. All right.
Have a good night.
I'll see you soon.
Adios.
All right.
I'll see you soon.
Arrivederci.
Take care.
Auf Wiedersehen.
But as far as wrapping that whole thing up, I'm glad he calls because sometimes he makes this show a little bit funnier than it really is. So actually, you were starting to get a little nasty, so I'm glad he broke the ice.
Well, I lost my train of thought. I forget what we were talking about.
You were starting to sharpen
about the
knives.
Betancourt building.
Yeah.
Well, let's hopefully.
But anyway, we're getting on the Betancourt building arrival at the amount of money we figure that the city has lost in their investment and whatnot. I think when we did the math earlier, come out to what, $500,000 or something like that.
It's a 500,000. So hopefully, I mean, we put it on for 750. Hopefully, I don't know. Is it that unsaleable at 750?
So the investment was 1.125 million, I think,
We paid
right?
425,
Right.
and then we lost 825,000 in the lawsuit.
In the lawsuit.
So it puts us up at 1.25 million.
And they're putting it on for 750. So if you do the math, the simple math, it's about 500.
Yeah, well, they're selling it for 500,000. I don't know why. I don't know what the logic is, but.
Well, the logic is that the city should not be getting involved in real estate transactions. Okay, they shouldn't be. I mean, we can't even win lawsuits. Legitimate lawsuits. It's not like the city is winning all these things. They're losing lawsuits left and right, and especially personnel lawsuits. When people work for the city, sue them or whatever, and it's costing us a lot of money. And they just need to stay away from things they don't know anything about. And real estate is one of those things they don't. To be honest with you, they're quite honest with you. They don't know anything about it. So.
But
look what's going on with the cell phone, the Verizon issue.
That's another one.
We'll get into that about our geniuses, our legal geniuses in the city. I mean, you want to get into it, we can get into it big time because we got a whole list of lawsuits we've lost over the years. I still have the list at home, okay? And I'll tell you, we do not have a good track record on that. And now we're getting into real estate. They're buying real estate, properties, churches, old mansions. I mean, come on. You know, about on the corner of Foster Street, where the Chinese restaurant used to be on the corner there. You know, it was going to be Brody's Pub, right? Well, that's not working out either.
Another lawsuit. About a lawsuit.
That's not working out very well either. So the thing is that, come on, you know, you just don't do good at real estate, city officials, mayor. Stay the hell away from them, will you? Okay.
You know, we do have a community development and a business liaison to assist.
Please.
So instead of, you know, buying that property, and I think the intent was good at the beginning, but it turned into a can of worms. The property is in such disrepair that no one even wants to touch it because it costs millions to renovate. And if you can't put apartments in there, and that's why the developer sued. He wanted to put apartments, and the RFP went out, and I think there was some sort of apartment plan in there. So he goes, you violated my civil rights to develop this property. And then the disturbing part is the civil rights violation on counselors and people getting, I read all the depositions. I couldn't believe what I was reading. So let's just not get involved with things that we really can't control or know what we're doing, and that's where we are right now. So hopefully, you know, they'll sell it, but we're still going to be out money.
That's right. The taxpayers.
Right.
Yeah, the taxpayers. You and I, folks, we're going to be out money. But anyway.
Hey, it's only money.
It's only money.
It's only money. It's only money.
It's only money.
I don't know.
All right. The cell phone issue.
Oh, the tower
between the
scratching my head on that.
I know, and we still
it went to court, and we know the whole routine of it was Michael's limousine denied. Then we told them put it on Coolidge Ave, and then we told them no. So they said
they sued.
Yep. The heck with you, we're suing you. Yep. Then the DAS system came in, that went nowhere. Then they came up with a proposal of 14 poles, and then they went. The meeting went till midnight, and councils left, and they came back and they couldn't vote, and they voted down the polls. Now the whole thing rests in the hands of the electric light plant, and if they don't bail us out, somebody's going to get a cell phone tower in their backyard. So that's the long and short of it.
Very good job of summarizing that.
Once again, how does a cell phone gap coverage in Ward 1 morph into antennas all over the city? How does that happen? You want to build your cell phone tower, and if we lose the case, then build it. But let's not start slopping up antennas everywhere.
Money. That's why.
Yes, exactly.
Money.
And of course, those antennas would be much less intrusive.
Of course.
But, you know, they put a big burden on the electric light. Okay, here, you get us out of this jam.
The city, you mean?
Yeah, well, it's been remanded back to the council by the judge, and the judge is sitting there going, this is unbelievable. you tell them no, then you tell them yes, then you tell them no, and then you tell them yes, and it's no. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? And I was in on those early meetings, you know, when I was on the council.
I know you were, yeah.
So, you know, I'd hate to see a cell phone tower in somebody's backyard. I still think it should go on Coolidge on city property, but that probably boat has left the dock because they were going to pay us money for that. Now Verizon are going to pay us nothing.
Well, the latest that I saw is an article, well, a couple of weeks old now, I think, that said the city and they said the city, but the light plant and Verizon are close to coming to an agreement on this.
And Verizon, from what I'm told, has been very difficult. They want it basically for nothing, you know, the rights to use these poles and all this. And there's certain legislation coming down the pike, and you can't set precedent by giving them lowball figures. And they're a huge, multi-billion-dollar pay. So that's what's, and I think they're using leverage over this on the city, right? I mean, if the light plant says no, then it's coming back, and I would assume I would want damages. I would want 5 years' worth of lawyers' fees, right? They probably hired engineers to research putting the tower on Coolidge Ave, which was supposed to go there, and then some magical reason that was denied too, with change of heart. And so that's where it is. And I don't understand. I really don't understand.
Well, it doesn't help with the relationship between between the city and Verizon and the light plant and Verizon and whatnot. So there's some bad blood there,
Yeah.
really bad
And,
blood.
You know, the electric light does a lot for this city, and a lot of it goes
Unnoticed by
unnoticed.
Yeah, of course.
And
of
they
course.
give us what, $480,000 in lieu of taxes for
Yep,
in a
they
cash.
do.
They gave us $1 million for the football field. They provide the wiring of the generators at the festival. They put up the band. They do a lot of stuff
they
for
do.
the city.
No question.
And they need to. Once again, we're relying on the electric light plant. They have no obligation to want to get into the cell phone tower business, antenna business with Verizon if they don't want to.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're trying to help the city out.
Well, I mean, no one wants cell towers in their neighborhood or their backyards or whatever. There's no question about that, and I don't have any qualms about people doing, really going out, just marching in the streets saying they don't want it because they just don't want these things, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't either. And so an alternative to that seems to be that they can use smaller antennas on light poles. We saw some coming in tonight. We saw some antennas over here.
So why aren't they just putting a few antennas in South Peabody?
Well,
Why are they putting
could.
them all over the city?
Well, maybe there's, first of all, you're right. It was supposed to close a gap in the South
Peabody.
South Peabody
that's what
area.
they claimed.
But the thing is that there's no question they want to make some money. That's what they want to do. And
It's all about that.
And so doesn't the Peabody. So the light plant says, well, you're not going to use it. You're going to make money on our poles, and
You're going to pay us. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
And
if
so-
you own the pole?
Oh yeah, I
And
know
you
it.
want Verizon, you're going to let them on there for free?
Well, the way cities and towns are acting today, as most of you out there know, they're very, very, greedy, looking for money all the time, going out after, making as much money as you can. That's what cities and towns do these days. The greatest growth industry is raising money, And the thing is that supposedly, everything costs more and all that. We don't know that. I mean, we only run our own homes and we have our own budgets. We don't know things are going up.
Look at what's going on.
They talk to us like we don't know what the hell they're facing. But we know what they're facing. And they're just, you can't hire a lot of friends and relatives and, if you don't have more money to do it. So, write grants if you want to. That's the way I see it. Write grants and, and it's still going to come out of our pocket, but not locally. It'll come out of the other pocket, which is state taxes.
Look at the state level. Marijuana is starting to go recreational. The state's going to make a boatload of money on that.
Yep.
They're putting in casinos. The one opened in Springfield. There's going to be one in Everett. They want to legalize sports gambling, and that's going to do. And it's not enough money.
I know.
It's never enough money, and it's just pure mismanagement. Giving all those people at the State House those outrageous raises at that time when they were denying sales tax holidays for the average Joe to save
one day.
$50.
Yeah, one day.
And,
one day.
and anybody was on a committee got a $15,000. It's totally pure self-serving greed.
It's
And,
greed. Yeah. There's no question.
And we continue to elect them over and over. We got one guy over there for 28 years. Yeah, I guess we get what we deserve.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's a good segue. It wasn't planned this way, but it's a good segue into. Some of you may have seen an article in the newspaper, and it was about new voting machines. The city of Peabody is getting new voting machines because
I didn't see that one.
Because the ones that we have, it's not that they're broken, they don't work. It's just that they're not manufactured anymore. They're not made anymore. So in order to get them in the future, if they do break down, you're not going to be able to get parts and all that for it, So they're moving ahead to upgrade the voting machines and bring it into more of a, like other communities have. They're scanning machines like.
I don't know why you need it. No one's running.
Well, that's the end of the punchline. You jump to the end of the punchline, but actually, it's a good. it's a good thing to do to upgrade the voting machines, but when nobody uses them that much, you say, we could probably still get away with the old machines for a while. And if they break down, so what? People don't vote anyway. not in big enough numbers to make any kind of a,
It's really sad. It really is. In Salem right now, there's about 12 people running for council at large for 4 seats. It's really a hotbed of political action over there. Lynn is very busy and active. But for here, for some reason, it's just no one's, and I know it's still early, but usually if you're going to run, you got to declare early. It's a big city.
March is the month that
and
March is usually the month they kick off.
It's disappointing not to see, new blood.
No, I agree.
New people, new ideas. That's why one of the reasons I got out. I had done it for 10 years, and I was getting stale. I could have mailed it in. I could have just showed up at every meeting and sit there like this and go, yeah. I just not in my nature, and I said, it's not for me anymore. I got to move on to something more productive in my life. And it was a stage of my life. I enjoyed it while I did it, but I lost the zest for it.
Sure.
And
so that's called frustration.
Yeah. And then people say, "Can you come back?" I go, "No, I can't come back." If I was going to run again, it would be for higher office. It wouldn't be for city council. It would be for state rep. Who knows what it would be? But I've done the city council, and I think I did 10 years.
And that's as far as all of us are concerned, our viewers watching. I mean, the most important offices we have are the councilors and the school committee people. I mean, they're the ones that directly impact us with our children, the school committee people, and the legislative arm of the city government, which is councilors. Okay,
And
I mean, they're the ones that affect us.
It's so true, and it's what they say, all politics is local.
Yeah.
And,
We right with you, caller.
Go ahead.
Caller, you're on.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, caller?
Pretty good. I miss you guys for the last month. I've been watching.
But you still didn't get your phone fixed.
Well, it's a cheap phone. They're not made in America anymore.
Touche.
Listen, you guys got so much to talk about. You're trying to make up for lost time.
Yes.
How are we doing? Badly, huh, I suppose.
I mean, we're going from single-use trash bags to anything else that might come up in an election.
Well, we're trying. You're right. We're trying to catch up.
Anyways, going back to the zoning, because Barry, you brought it up with both of you brought it up on King Street, and rezoning. What's coming before the city council is more significant. Is the residential overlay district they want to put down at the mall. And I think, Dick, you mentioned an important point there about the character of the neighborhood. Is if those who know Prospect Street and up at the hill, they're up at the Apple. I call it the Apple Farm area.
Yep.
But those are all single families, and with the apartment complex across the street on Cross Street and Prospect, they're all only like 2-level apartments. Mm-hmm. This overlay district that they're proposing to put at the mall, in the mall area, they're not going to be 2 floors. They're going to be 4 stories or 5 stories they're going to put down there.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about how many units.
Well, that's a good point, caller, because it's just carte blanche.
I know.
And I fully understand that they pay, $8 million a year in real estate taxes. So that takes a burden off this city in terms of what they pay. And we want to help them any way we can. But you can't just say, here's a zoning change, do what you want to do.
Right.
And the other thing is, if you're going to start doing overlays, right, then they better make sure that they hit the 10% on the 40B. Because that would be the biggest thing, so we don't have that threat. We're going to add all the. How many of those are going to be affordable at the mall? Not too many, I would imagine.
They were pushing, supposedly, according to the paper, up to 25% of those units, the undefined, how many they're going to be, might be required to be affordable. But we've had a, what do they call it? What the hell the zoning change? Affordable 15% for development. Barry,
it's 15%, right.
Right. We've had that for about 15 years.
We still haven't met our goal.
And we've been going deeper in the hole ever since.
And, what's affordable? I mean, just because they put this term affordable housing, that doesn't mean that they're really affordable.
Well, you know what affordable really means?
Yeah, it's a percentage over the.
Yeah, I understand, but affordable housing is a euphemism for government control. It's government housing, whether it be 40B or Section 8 housing. You know, most of the affordable housing that already exists in Peabody are the single-family homes are here, because most of those people who are living in single-family homes, especially the elderly, you know, they couldn't afford to rent anywhere else today.
True.
You know,
True. Very true.
But they don't count owner-occupied single-family homes as affordable housing because it doesn't meet the politicians' goal of government control.
What about the trailer parks?
Trailer parks are excluded. There's 700 of them up there.
If we'd be over the limit if we had that.
That's right. They don't count. They only count what they want to count, and what they're saying is, it's interesting because Boston's just talking about bringing back rent control. And that's what affordable housing is. It's
That's
rent
what I want,
control.
is the government controlling apartment rates. So the city of Peabody controlling what you can. That's not a good recipe.
But the thing is, when we designed our zoning, we designed it for a certain size of city. Now they're trying to redesign the city for higher density, more people. More people means more human problems with traffic,
Police, fire, schools.
schools. I mean, the last time I heard when the acting superintendent Levine said there were 500 less students at the high school a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
So now we're going to have to expand the high school, put in a VOC, and we're going to have to spend money when the school enrollment's actually down. But instead of, about 10 years ago, we were going to close one of the elementary schools under the Bonfanti administration.
Where's the water coming from for all these thousands
I mean, that's
of
the other
units?
thing.
Well,
I mean,
that's the other thing. The water, they're going to have to import it from the MWRA.
You got it.
I mean, the most precious resource that we have coming up, and have for a long time, but really coming up in the next 20, 25 years is water.
Yeah, but they're going to buy it from old Eastman Gelatin. That's the game.
They're going to buy what?
They're going to buy the water from Eastman Gelatin.
Oh, God.
No, I haven't heard
Roosevelt.
that.
No. You know,
So, but what is the plan? See, what's happened is. Okay, go ahead, Carl.
Call it.
Well-
Thanks very much. Did you want to make another point at all?
Well, my point is this. There's going to be a city council meeting on the 18th. A planning board meeting on the 18th about the residential overlay district.
They'll vote yes.
And there, it's a rubber stamp. It's being pushed by the corner office because they want to build up Peabody to a point that we are going to turn into a Chelsea, a Revere.
Yeah, we're going to look like Revere Beach.
You mean a gateway city?
Well, we're going to be another Boston. And Boston's had unaffordable housing forever because they're letting people double, triple, quadruple occupy single-family homes. You know, that doesn't. Zoning is supposed to protect the quality of life around here.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, Carla, because you know we brought that same thing up on our last show. Quality of life doesn't mean anything to politicians when it comes to money. You put quality of life standing in the way of the city or town grabbing some money, and you'll lose all the time. But you know, I have read articles over the years where one of the worst things that government has been doing to human beings on the planet is, squeezing people in together closer, making areas more dense. Right. And there's a direct correlation between crime and murders and everything else because of things like that. Quality of life isn't just smog, smoke, traffic, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's also density, you know, of how close you are to other human beings.
Right.
And so
Especially
government is not doing a good
relatives.
job of that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
This city is becoming a circus. The Big Apple is here.
Touche.
I
All
think
right,
it's.
I gotta let you guys go.
Okay, thanks, caller.
bye.
I mean, the call's right. It looks like you remember Revere Beach. You see how it looks now with all the high, the condos. That's what's going to, But you can't talk to these a lot of these officials in this city because they're being either being led around by the nose by lawyers, okay, or they just don't have any clue of why they got elected to protect all of us and protect our neighborhoods. They have no clue about that.
And the thing is, if you want to take a piece of property on Route 1 that doesn't allow, our zoning doesn't allow housing on Route 1. It's called the BR zone.
Right.
So if you took this piece of property and said, we're going to build housing, that's illegal, that's spot zoning. Somebody's come up with an ingenious thing, we're going to call it an overlay district.
Sure.
I don't know how that's legal because you're taking one parcel of land. So I don't know how that's even legal, but Salem's been doing it, so I'm assuming we grabbed it from Salem.
Yeah,
and
whatever genius came up with that has probably got a
There's like
$150,000 a year job someplace.
There's like
in
5
government.
or 6 locations.
Yeah.
But now my memory's coming back since my vacation, and I remember that plan that was drawn out with a crayon with the outlines of the mall, and there was you couldn't read where it was, and the outlines of the property.
And then they brought okay, we got 3 minutes. We got that plastic thing that comes down and it overlays. The last couple of minutes, we're not going to take any calls, okay, if you don't mind. We're not going to take any calls. Just for those, my friends in South Peabody that reminded us of our quirks here on the show. I've touched my glasses 11 times tonight,
and you didn't. Maybe one. No, I did once or twice. I just did.
Well, come on, come clean.
Twice I touched my tie.
So, but we'll give you an update every show that how many times we do that. But okay, Barry wants to. With the last couple of minutes, Barry wants to talk a little bit about your trip.
Yeah, I had a fantastic trip. We went to South Africa, and it's such a beautiful country. And we went on safari, and we went to the Cape of Good Hope. We hiked a mountain. It's such a beautiful country. They have a lot of issues, serious issues with poverty and immigration and crime. And when I touched down at home, I wanted to kiss the ground of this country because we have the best country in the world, and we really don't have. We have minor problems in this country compared to when you go out and see the real world of what's going on in some of these countries. It's pretty amazing what we have here. And this identity politics of who's discriminated against more on the rung of the ladder, it's just ridiculous. And they want to see what the real world is like, head over there, and you'll see. And I don't want to. The country is absolutely beautiful, and you'll have. If you were driving down Route 1 for 3 or 4 miles, what they got is shanty shacks laid up on the road with people, million people just living in shacks and squalor, and because they have no immigration policy.
Okay.
They just come right. But anyway, it was an experience of a lifetime. We went out into the wild on safari, and we met all sorts of. We had an elephant charge our truck, and we zoomed out of there. Got accosted by a rhino, and I went mountain climbing. First it was a hike, and then it turned into climbing a mountain, and I look over the side, and there's a cliff, and I go, I might not make it back. But anyway, it was a great trip, and God bless America. That's all I can say.
They're giving us the sign to wrap it up. We're going please join us on some of these future shows because we're going to talk about stuff that like overlay district. We're going to talk about the new charter. That's going
to be a doozy. I can't wait to talk about that.
Affects all of you out there, as everybody. So we're going to be talking about that as well.
I read the minutes.
So join us in a couple of weeks when we ask you to make the call. Thanks a lot. Good night.
Good night.